Wife!
Do you remember what happened yesterday and how the hell we got here today?
Well, yesterday we read Ezekiel Chapter 31.
We did.
And in that chapter, God was, he was chastising the Egyptians by calling out Assyria. He was like, hey, Assyria over there? They're fucking awesome. And you know what happened to them? I fucking killed them.
And you're just like them.
Yeah, and you're just like them. You're so awesome, and I'm gonna fucking kill you too.
And guess what happened?
He didn't kill them.
Exactly.
He lied.
Exactly.
He got it wrong.
He messed
up. God was wrong.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a prophecy. We're in the prophecy, and he's prophesying wrong. So that's what's happening.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, that was Ezekiel chapter 31.
It was.
Which means that today we're getting into
Ezekiel chapter 32.
All right, let's do this.
Okie dokie. All right, we are hopping into Ezekiel chapter 32.
Or Ezekiel.
No.
I'm just, I'm throwing it out there, just making sure we got it right.
Ezekiel. This is the last of Ezekiel's prophecies against Egypt.
Good, because he's so fucking wrong. He's going to what the hell? He's just continuing the wrongness over and over and over again.
Several chapters worth.
And I'm like, God, how much wrong can you be?
Right.
And we're about to find out, I guess.
Four
chapters worth, yeah.
Yeah, because it was chapters 29 to 32.
Yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. So here we go.
Okay.
And we start out with a date, so I'll be back into my notes with the date.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
In the 12th year, in the 12th month, on the first day, the word of the Lord came to me.
Came to Ezekiel,
Yeah. Okay, so here's what that date corresponds to approximately.
Okay.
About March 3rd, somewhere between the 3rd and the 22nd.
Sure.
Of either 586 or 585 BCE.
Got it. Okay.
Somewhere thereabouts.
So after the invasion of Jerusalem, and maybe like a year to year and a half after.
Sure.
It sounds like, to me.
I cannot keep numbers straight, so I'm like,
I think the invasion of Jerusalem happened in like 587, or if it was either that or... Yeah, I think it was 587 or 586. I
have to have that in front of me, honestly.
Got it.
You could tell me that right now, and I won't remember it in 10 minutes. So anyway, he says, son of man.
You mere human.
You fucking worm.
Yeah. Wait. Before we go further, just in case anybody's been listening to us when we say the son of man, you mere human, you fucking worm, it's because I realized that we've been doing this for a while. Mm-hmm. And if somebody jumped in like in the last few chapters, they're like, what is going on? What are they doing? and it goes back to God chastises his own people and calls them fucking names all the time. And one of them was like he called them worms. Mm-hmm. And one of them was actually mere human or something like that. Or like you're just a human and I'm God.
Right. And that's what son of man means.
Yeah.
It means you are not just human, you're only human.
Right. It occurred to me in yesterday's episode, I was like, we're just saying this over and over again. Like
it just kind of stuck. We never really discussed it.
Right.
It just happened. And we were like, yeah, I like that. Like this is the first time we've ever actually addressed it.
Yeah.
Like, we never planned it to
I felt like it needed to be addressed because we say it all the time now.
We do.
And I love it.
I
think it's great.
I do too.
But we never explained it to our listeners, so.
So that's how that happened.
Yeah.
And in case you were wondering if we are, like, well planned out or anything, we're not. And that is an example of how we just jive.
Yes.
Yes. Husband and wife just jive.
That's right.
We riff well off of each other.
Indeed.
All right, son of man.
You mere human.
You fucking worm. Take up a lament concerning Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and say to him,
okay,
you are like a lion among the nations. You are like a monster in the seas, thrashing about in your streams, churning the water with your feet and muddy in the streams.
Okay.
So like a crocodile?
He was referring to him as a crocodile before. Well, not in our translation.
Right. It was sea monster.
But in other translations, he was. And so, yeah, I'm assuming this is kind of the same.
I mean, that's what a dude does.
Comparison.
He thrashes about.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how a crocodile kills its prey.
Right. That is some violent shit.
Those freak me out. I'm telling you, I said it before, crocodiles and alligators, to me, they're the same thing. And they are dinosaurs, but they are evil. And they are fucking crazy. And just look at their eyes, you guys. Just look at their eyes.
I don't know if you ever saw this video, But there was did I already talk about this? I can't remember if I did or not. But there was this guy down in Florida, and his dog, it was like a little Shih Tzu or something like that, right?
He was on a bridge in Florida.
And the fucking, alligator, crocodile, whatever the fuck it was.
It was a gator in Florida.
Came up and, like, ate his goddamn dog.
Ate his fucking dog.
And
just
this
like,
guy was like, hell no. And goes in with it. He's like got a cane.
He had a walking stick.
Yeah, and he's like goes in and starts beating the alligator. He gets his dog back.
Yeah.
I'm like, you badass motherfucker.
Right?
What the hell?
To be that awesome when I'm that age, please God.
I gotta tell you, if my dog or cat got eaten by a gator, I'm like, fuck, sorry, man.
I'm crying while I'm running.
Yeah.
I
ain't doing that shit.
No, because I have seen those sons of bitches and they raise up they raise their whole body up.
Yeah.
And somebody told me, oh, it's just the young ones. No, sir. No, I've seen the videos, not the doctored ones, the actual videos.
Right.
Where those sons of bitches, those fucking dinosaurs, those evil, just gross monsters lift their whole bodies up and they can run.
Yeah. Oh, they can run really fast, too.
Miles per hour, okay?
Yeah. It's like 35 miles an hour, I think, if I remember correctly.
I can't run that fast.
Right, yeah.
You can't run that fast.
No.
They can fucking beat it.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm not trying to fuck with those things.
Yeah. And my dog just said I'm sorry, but no.
Look, I look at those and I'm like, this is why humans were not meant to populate the planet. Because they're remnants of the dinosaur age and they are like a reminder of we were here first.
Right.
And they're right. They were.
But that dude with the cane and the dog, badass. I'm going to try to find that video and link it into the show notes because, you just got you got to see it. You got to see it. It's amazing.
See if you can find one where the dude like lifts himself up off the ground and just like starts booking it.
Oh. You mean like, the alligator, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, see if there's another video of that.
Sure.
Guys, that's just creepy as fuck. Okay, so anyway.
Yeah, enough about alligators and crocodiles.
Sorry. This is what we do. So Ezekiel is speaking for God, and he's like, Egypt, you're a fucking crocodile or whatnot. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
All right. This is what the sovereign Lord says.
Okay.
With a great throng of people, I will cast my net over you, and they will haul you up in my net. I will throw you on the land and hurl you on the open field. I will let all the birds of the sky settle on you, and all the animals of the wild gorge themselves on you. The word gorge is like so perfect. Like it's exactly what it sounds like. It's almost an onomatopoeia. I don't know that I would call it that because it's not a sound that is the sound it makes.
Right. But it embodies the action very well.
Like you hear the word gorge and you're like, yeah, I know exactly what's happening there. Slurp. There's an onomatopoeia. I will spread your flesh on the mountains and fill the valleys with your remains.
Wow. That is dark.
Right?
Yeah.
Like this is kind of cool, like in a goth kind of way.
Sure. But the part that occurs, so God, the way he speaks about killing humans and other people is just so disturbing sometimes.
I know. It's kind of like nightmare fodder.
You are kind of evil sounding. Like
he is
not even just kind of, you are evil sounding.
Yeah. He's like the way that you would write a God that's evil in your fiction.
Yeah.
Like he's that guy.
Yeah. No, he's definitely the evil God, right?
Yeah.
And I can't fathom how people read this book and they're like, he's a good God, he's a loving God. And I'm like, did you read the fucking Bible?
Right.
We're reading it. It doesn't sound good.
He's excited about murder, y'all.
Yeah.
I don't care who these people are.
You're assuming you're like one of the 5 people he actually lets go. But what makes you think you're that person?
I don't know, because I don't think I'm that special, and it has nothing to do with my quote-unquote sins or whatever.
Right?
I know that a lot of people don't like me, and I'm pretty sure God would be right on the top of that list.
You've heard the term Sunday Christians before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, like, if you're a Sunday Christian, you obviously have not read the Bible, and moreover, you don't actually believe it.
Right.
Because if you read the Bible and you saw how God treated these people, you'd be scared out of your goddamn wits if you believed it, right?
Yeah.
If you actually believe this shit, I would be scared to fucking death.
Yes.
And I know that some people, that's how indoctrination happens, right? These kids get scared to fucking death.
Yeah.
And they can't leave.
Yeah.
And some people are actually that indoctrinated and that scared of God. But the Sunday Christians, those
Yeah.
are the people I don't understand.
Yeah.
They have all these views that their pastor or their news media tells them to have that are quote unquote Christian related, but they're not actually based in anything that they know about the Bible.
Right.
And they don't have the appropriate amount of humbleness with regard to their God.
Yeah.
Because if you did believe in this God, you wouldn't act the way you act the rest of the week, right?
Exactly.
So like Sunday Christians make absolutely no sense to me.
No, me neither.
I'm sorry.
No, they do. They do make perfect sense.
Sure, it's a social construct,
yes.
right? It's a social thing. That's
Yes.
all it is. But they
checking
also
the boxes and doing what you're supposed to do so that your neighbors like you.
But it's also weaponized. What do you call it? It's weaponized judgment. You get to use that thing that you say. I'm a Christian, right? You get to say I'm a Christian, and these are the things we stand for, and I'm going to weaponize that against your beliefs because it makes me feel better, even though I don't actually follow my beliefs. I'm still going to weaponize it against you.
And I don't even know the piece of material that my beliefs are based on.
Right.
And
it pisses me off.
Yeah,
It really pisses
honestly,
me off.
Yeah. I wish people would just read the Bible straight through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly.
I think it should be. I think if you're gonna espouse that you are a Christian, you should have to read the Bible straight through on your own and determine what you take from it on your own.
And
I want a goddamn book report.
I want, I was going to say, I want you to have to justify 10 different evil acts.
Yeah.
You know, you get to pick the 10 and you get to use your own words.
Sure.
And then you get your certificate and your shiny gold star that says you are a certified Christian.
I'll even allow that they could listen to our podcast as part of this.
Sure.
You know, like if you want us to read it to you, we're reading it to you.
Yeah.
Come here, listen to us. Answer our questions for us.
Yeah.
You know, listen to the words of the Bible that we're reading and then answer the questions that we have about it. I want to know that you stand on firm ground with regard to your beliefs before I take any of your judgment towards me.
Yeah. 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 Before we get to talk about how you feel about me, let's talk about how we feel about your God.
Yeah.
Let's do that. And which one is he?
Right?
Because this guy sucks.
He does.
All right. Anyway, God is talking through Ezekiel.
Yes.
I will drench the land with your flowing blood.
Oh my God.
All the way to the mountains. Speaking of evil.
Right?
And the ravines will be filled with your flesh.
Holy shit.
That is creepy
This is some
shit.
fucked up imagery.
When I snuff you out. I mean, I did that on a shirt, right? When I snuff you out.
Quotes from God, right?
Yeah. I will cover the heavens and darken their stars. I will cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon will not give its light.
Okay.
All the shining lights in the heaven I will darken over you. I will bring darkness over your land, declares the sovereign Lord.
The darkness doesn't really matter if you're a splatter of fucking blood on the ground,
know,
does it?
right?
I mean, if you're going to kill them that much and fill ravines with their remains, what do you care if it's fucking dark out?
Are you ruining the ecosystem or are you killing me? Pick a lane. I will trouble the hearts of many peoples when I bring about your destruction among the nations, among lands you have not known. Hey, there's some people over there. I'm going to kill them too.
Right. Well,
it has nothing to do with you, but...
No, I think he was saying that people that they don't know are going to be troubled by what happens to you.
Oh, okay.
They're going to see the bodies lying in the ravines and be like, Jesus
Christ!
Fucking shit, Christ! What the fuck is that? Like, oh, that's that God over there in Jerusalem.
You know that guy.
He fills people in ravines all the time.
He's a murdery little fuck.
Yeah.
You just got to ignore him. Keep walking. I mean, honestly, if... I don't know those people over there, though. I don't really care if they're
I would care if I came... Well, I mean, I don't think... How would you know what did it? If you don't believe in that God, you just be like, who the fuck filled this ravine with a bunch of bodies?
Either that or I would be like, oh, there are way too many alligators here. Right. I am out.
Or the correlation you might make, alligators, dead bodies... I'm not going to fuck with them, you know?
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah, right.
They have powerful magic god. Yeah.
Might be an alligator god.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Didn't the Egyptians have some kind of crocodile king god?
Probably. They had all kinds of cool shit.
They did.
we can say that because it's a dead religion, right?
Yeah.
We can say that Greeks and the Egyptians had
and the
cool
Romans.
gods, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't really exist anymore. Like, look, no God exists, but those gods aren't relevant to our society today.
We all collectively agree, even the Christians, that those things are funny.
Right. Which is funny to hear Christians talk about those dead gods because it's like, you don't even get the irony in what you're saying. You don't understand how this sounds to somebody who doesn't believe in your God.
Yeah.
Like, you should really examine this a little bit.
Like, I just want to tell Christians, unicorns are real until you can prove otherwise.
Yeah.
Because if your God gets to exist, I want a world where
There's
unicorns exist.
Right. Definitely.
So, fuck off.
Right.
I, God, will cause many peoples to be appalled by you, and their kings will shudder with horror because of you when I brandish my sword before them. On the day of your downfall, each of them will tremble every moment for his life. You know, just the ones I haven't killed and splattered, covered, smothered.
Yeah, yeah.
For this is what the sovereign Lord says.
Sure, yeah, okay.
The sword of the king of Babylon will come against you. Okay, so I'm going to use Nebuchadnezzar to get you.
Right. Again, not showing God's power. He's showing this conqueror's power. And it's not even somebody that worships him. And he's like, here, I'm going to have this guy that doesn't give two fucks about me come and kill the fuck out of you.
Right.
And then people are going to say it was my doing, apparently, which I don't understand that at all. I would say, no, it's probably whatever God Nebuchadnezzar and his people worship. That's their God doing that because they're the ones taking over all this land.
If I was going to believe in a God, I would believe in the God of the conqueror.
Right. Yeah, that's usually the way it goes.
Not the conquered.
Right.
I will cause your hordes to fall by the swords of mighty men, the most ruthless of all nations. They will shatter the pride of Egypt, and all her hordes will be overthrown. I do like his perpetual use of the word hordes.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I mean, I kind of like the way these last couple of chapters have read.
Yeah.
It's in a very dark sense.
If I was reading it in a horror novel,
it's very beautifully written,
darkly beautiful.
Yeah, darkly beautiful. And if you can just get over the fact that people actually believe that this God exists, then
and that he's beautiful and pretty and loving. Whee! I love this God. Yahweh's so cool.
It would be a cool thing to read about as something that was a dead religion, right? Like to see, look at this imagery that they're using, like that. That is amazing.
I would love to be able to assess it on those grounds.
I would love to be able to. Yeah. That would be amazing.
That would be really cool in a literary context, because that's my jam.
Right.
I will destroy all her cattle from beside abundant waters, no longer to be stirred by the foot of man or muddied by the hooves of cattle. What did the cattle ever do?
And again, I don't understand. If you're destroying the people, what does it matter if you destroy the cattle or not?
Why do the cattle have to? I don't understand.
I think he just likes fucking killing things.
He does. It's like that one bitch that we talked about last week or the week before I was sick, where she took her dog out and shot it, and then she was like, and while I'm here, I'm going to kill the goat too.
Yeah, oh man, now I'm drawing a blank on Katie Gnome or no, what the hell is her name?
Something Gnome.
Yeah. So, whatever. The governor of that.
No, she's not a governor.
I thought she was. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know who she is.
Yeah.
Kristi Noem.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like the governor of North Dakota or South Dakota, one of those Dakotas.
One of the Dakotas.
Yeah.
Apologies to the Dakota that does not contain her.
Yeah, no, we just didn't prepare to bring her up today.
And we're not geographically
adjacent to you. So it doesn't really affect us on a day-to-day basis.
I don't know those.
I mean, I don't know that I can name most of the governors in the United States. Like, there's not, unless they make some news, I don't really have any reason to know them.
Same.
You know?
Yeah. Then I will let her water settle and make her streams flow like oil, declares the sovereign Lord. Whee!
Yeah.
When I make Egypt desolate and strip the land of everything in it, when I strike down all who live there, then they will know that I am the Lord. See, sometimes you have to read dark things in a Candyland voice.
Yeah.
La 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 la. I'm gonna kill you all. Hee hee hee. Ha ha ha. Love to see the blood flow.
It's just it's like he's saying he's doing this for the benefit of his people, maybe, or like the neighbors. I'm not really I don't understand. If you kill them all, and their cattle and make it dark and fill the valleys with their bodies and like completely destroy them, which you didn't actually, because this prophecy actually never comes true, not by Nebuchadnezzar. There is a place later that they do get conquered, but in the prophecy, it's Nebuchadnezzar that's supposed to be doing the conquering. So it's just, this is all bullshit, first of all. And then second, it's not like, who are you trying to impress?
What are you doing this for?
Right.
Like, if you were somebody that survived in Israel, wouldn't you be like, please stop?
Right. I mean, honestly, if I was a human now and I thought that this God actually existed, if I believed that this God actually existed, I'd be looking for a way to, get rid of that God.
Right. Like how to kill a God.
Like an ancient magic spell that we could track down?
We gotta be like,
what can we do?
Buffy the Vampire Slayer and get the Scooby Gang together and Giles' magic shop.
This guy, he's just not going to do.
We can't study it out.
I can't truck with this God.
No. How do you get rid of a God?
I don't know. I guess we could call Sam and Dean, see what they say.
They have killed enough of them. I guess you can't kill a god till you get rid of all the followers. And that usually maybe does it, maybe. But then sometimes you kill the god and that sets free the followers from the thrall that they've fallen under.
You got to be careful who you get rid of.
Which one comes first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know. This guy's held on forever. I'm going to guess he's the problem and he's got people enthralled to him. Yeah. So I would say let's figure out a way to kill gods. Right, yeah. If anybody's got any ideas, no. Obviously, we're joking because gods don't exist. That's right. This is the lament they will chant for her. The daughters of the nations will chant it. La, 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 la. I'm chanting. Oh, yeah. I thought that was in the Bible for a second. I'm like, are you kidding me? No, I'm a daughter and I'm chanting. Oh. Rah, okay. Rah, rah. Get him, get him, get him. I'm chanting. It's funny that you said rah, 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 and we're talking about Egypt. Oh, that is funny. Yeah. That is funny. Yeah. For Egypt and all her hordes, they will chant it, declares the sovereign Lord. Okay. See, I was chanting. Mm-hmm. I don't really know how chants go. I mean, you chant, right? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know really. I mean, I guess it's got to sound like spiritually officious, maybe? That would be the best way I could describe a chant, maybe? That's all I got. I don't really understand, like, what distinguishes a chant from like a scream or a yell or a cheer. Or a cheer. Like, okay, what is this? UGLY. You ain't got no alibi. You ugly. What? You ugly. Like, is that a chant? Or little known fact, guys, did you know that wife used to be a cheerleader? Oh, that's not where I got that from, though. That's from the movie Wildcats. Right, but I was just sharing a little known fact about you. I was only a cheer. Okay, whatever. I was. But I wasn't a very good cheerleader. I was the only one that could do the splits in every single direction. There you go. See? But I could not do any flips or anything. Yeah. And you were a cheerleader in Italy. I was. Yeah. Which I mean, that kind of makes it interesting a little bit. It does, but like, it's so much more impressive on paper than in real life. I promise. Like, if I told you the actual, you'd be like, oh. Whatever. Yeah. You just got to stick with the good story and leave the rest of it out. Right? I know. It's just everything about me like sounds so cool until I tell you the story, and then you're like, oh, so you're just nothing, though. That's why you got to learn the art of not telling everything. You just tell the fun bits, and let people draw their own conclusions. I like honesty. You tell the narrative that's going to be like, wow, that person did a lot, I like honesty. I don't like being like an Elon Musk where I like toot my horn and I make myself seem bigger than I am. I like self-deprecation. Yeah. Because one thing is that then nobody can come along later and say, liar, hypocrite. Right. I think, honestly, both of us kind of have the failing of being too honest about ourselves and everything. So I don't think that that's a problem. No, I shouldn't have said it's a failing. I should say that society kind of perceives it that way because you're supposed to pump yourself up. You're supposed to be your resume, bigger. Which is like talking about how awesome you are. Right. Yeah. Whereas I'm like, meh, I'm okay. I'll do. I will say you're a lot more self-deprecating than I am. But sure. But I don't hate myself or anything. I'm just not like overly impressed either. Sure. I'm mediocre and I'm fine with that. I think most people are mediocre. I don't think that's like a failing among people. That's the exact description or definition of the word mediocre.
The real question should be, are you happy with who you are?
Yes.
Right? That's the real question.
Yes.
Mediocre, excellent, or subpar doesn't really fucking matter. It's a matter of how you perceive who you are and what you want to do and what you're doing. You know?
Well, spoiler alert, the majority of us are mediocre, and that's because mediocre means plain in the middle, not very special at all.
Right.
And, just speaking on a scientific principle kind of thing, objectively, that is what we are.
Right.
So I'm fine with that.
Laws of,
you know what
it's
that
averages.
What it reminds me of? Okay, totally way off subject.
Okay.
Sorry, but
not that we haven't been going off subject at all during this episode.
You'll totally appreciate this, though. Douglas Adams, right?
Yeah.
Zaphod Beeblebrox looks into the box, right? And in the box, he sees the entire universe and his place in it, and he's a minuscule nothing.
Sure.
He's just absolutely a zero.
Didn't he get depressed over it a little bit?
No.
Okay.
The majority of people
It's been so long since I read this.
I know, that's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
The majority of people who look into the box and see how much they do not matter and how small they are, go stark raving mad and kill themselves or get depressed or, go mad,
but
whatever.
It's freeing at some level.
But yeah, he looks in and he's like, yeah, that tracks. And so he walks out and is able to be like president of the universe or whatever.
Yeah.
Because he's fine knowing that he really doesn't fucking matter in the grand scheme of things.
Right. Well, I mean, it frees you up to pursue your loves of whatever you love. You can pursue whatever you want if you just honestly realize that what you do should be your own thing.
Yeah.
You should pursue things for yourself because ultimately it's not going to make a difference to many other people in the world, generally speaking,
Right.
So it's just not, and if you take the universe into account beyond that, obviously the universe doesn't give a fuck about what Earth is doing even.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, not only is Earth not the center of the universe, like our universe is not even the center of like the galaxy.
Right.
Like,
wait, no, the universe is the whole shebang.
Okay, whatever.
The solar system and then the galaxy and then the universe.
I have a really hard time stacking. Like, honestly, I get them all out of order.
I just had to, I wasn't really listening that closely, but then I heard it in the wrong order somewhere and I was like, wait, that sounded wrong.
You get what I'm saying. Like, even the thing that is larger than us is not
the largest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, whatever. Be okay being small.
Yeah. Be okay being you.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. I accidentally scrolled and now I have to find my place. Okay, I'll destroy the cattle because I'm a fucker.
Yeah. Well, you really lost your place pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was down at the bottom. I was like, wait, I'm not
We're not
finished.
down at the bottom, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, make Egypt desolate. Okay. When I make Egypt desolate and strip the land of everything in it, when I strike down all who live there, then they will know that I am the Lord. This is the lament they will chant for her. The daughters of the nations will chant it. For Egypt and all her hordes, they will chant it, declares the sovereign Lord. Okay, that's what I had just read.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Now, in the 12th year, on the 15th day of the month, the word of the Lord came to me.
Ezekiel, yeah.
Yeah, so let me get you that date.
Sure.
So that we can, know what date it is.
Right, that's very important.
Okay, yeah.
Knowing these dates thousands of years ago.
Yeah, this date corresponds to somewhere between April 586 to March 17th, 585 BCE.
Okay.
It just depends on the researcher because they use different methodologies and calculations.
Sure.
So they can give you like a roundabout. They can tell you like, obviously it's either March or April. So it's sometime in spring, but we don't know if it was spring of 585 or 586.
Got it. But if you ever want to get into some really weird calculations, you should look up numerology with regard to the Bible.
Oh yeah.
That'll take you down some fucking rabbit holes.
We talked about that a little bit with
the angel numbers and all that stuff. Yeah. That was a Patreon episode, I think.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So in this March or April of whatever the fuck year, 585 or 586 BCE, the word of the Lord came to me.
Ezekiel.
Yeah,
I like to make sure we say it like it's.
Yeah, who am I again? Yeah,
right.
Ezekiel. Okay. Son of man.
Yeah, mere human.
You fucking worm. Wail for the hordes of Egypt and consign to the earth below both her and the daughters of mighty nations, along with those who go down to the pit. And by pit, we mean the underground, the Sheol, the Hades.
But the difference is that the pit in the Old Testament does not mean the same thing as hell in the New Testament. There is a different understanding as to what that underground meant. It was a more visceral, real thing in the Old Testament because it actually referred to a pit outside of Jerusalem.
Gehenna.
Yeah, Gehenna. That they're referring to, and that is what embodied the idea of the pit for the Old Testament.
Yeah.
It only evolved from there in the New Testament to mean something more ethereal and more, godlike with the whole Satan aspect and all that.
Exactly.
And Satan, there's people that say that Satan's in the Old Testament, and there are a couple of references in the Old Testament.
Like in Job.
But it doesn't mean the same thing. It just means like adversary or the whatever.
It's the word for adversary or the guy who stands up and questions.
But
the challenger.
But people that, are Christian like to take the New Testament and backfill what they actually meant and say, well, that meant this and this meant this and whatever. And it's not correct. Like if you read this in the manner in which it's meant to be read from a Jewish standpoint, it does not mean what the New Testament says it means.
Right.
That's just not true.
It's not true.
You can try to make it mean the other thing.
It's not true.
But you can still take it and you can still look at it from the older perspective and say, well, that's what they intended there. And it makes sense that way much more than filling it in for Satan in the New Testament.
Exactly. So. Like, I know what Christians think it means. I would like to know, the dude that wrote it down, what did he mean?
Right.
Because I'm going to bet that if you believe in God, that's what God believed that day.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. That's what God wanted those people that day to think.
Yeah, if we look at this as, Old Testament, New Testament, right? God meant something different back here than he does here. Even if you take this as a literal representation of a God, that God evolved by the time we get to the New Testament. So wouldn't it make sense that his idea or his representations of what hell was would evolve from the Old Testament to the New Testament as well, right? Like that, to me, would make some sense. But no, we have to make God make sense.
Right.
And therefore, we have to make it all, linear, and it all is the same thing, and it's all from the same God, and they all mean the same thing.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work in my head from what we're reading.
Nope. So say to them guys that are going down to the pit.
Yeah.
Are you more favored than others? Go down and be laid among the uncircumcised.
Those damn uncircumcised.
Not those guys with foreskins.
Did you not get your wiener chopped?
You didn't get your wiener chopped.
Then you're going down to the pit, man.
You will burn in hell for that.
Yeah, for that uncircumcised wiener.
You should have got your dick chopped.
You really should have, man.
You sons of bitches.
You mere humans.
You fucking worms. They will fall among those killed by the sword. The sword is drawn. Let her be dragged off with all her hordes. Okay. Again with the dark imagery here.
Yeah.
From within the realm of the dead, the mighty leaders will say of Egypt and her allies, they have come down and they lie with the uncircumcised, with those killed by the sword. Damn. That's what they're going to say. That's what their neighbor. Can you believe these guys have to go lay with uncircumcised other dead people? Oh my gosh.
It strikes me that the Babylonians are probably uncircumcised too, and they're the ones killing them. Like they're all fucking uncircumcised. It's just some of them are going to be dead. Yeah. Yep, that happened.
And some of them are going to be Babylonian, and some of them will be Egyptian. Yeah. And why does anybody care?
War happens.
Yeah.
That's what happens in war. People die, and some of them are uncircumcised. I bet there might have been a few that weren't. Maybe.
Sure.
Some people I think are born uncircumcised or born circumcised. There is like a condition, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, but
we were talking about that back with Jeremiah.
Yeah, because they were accusing one of those dudes of he was born uncircumcised.
Yeah.
And it's not
born circumcised.
Or it's not circumcision. It's
right.
A condition where you're lacking the entirety of
It's a defect.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I wouldn't call it a defect. That would be
a mutation.
Yes, it's a mutation. Sure. I wouldn't say he's a mutant any more than a kid that's born missing a finger.
But if it's not, if it wasn't
a person who's born blind.
But if it wasn't biblically ordained, then it has to be a fault of a god, so we can't admit that either.
Right. Right. So. Exactly. But again, like, there are people born missing other parts, and we don't give a shit about those.
Yeah.
If it impacts their genitalia, then we care. But
sometimes they have extra parts. I'm kind of angry that I don't have a tail, I think a tail would be cool.
That would be cool. Like, I've actually heard about people that have, like, the remnant of a tail.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get that surgically removed because, I was joking that I would like to have a tail, but I think, if you live in this culture, it would cause a lot of problems to have a tail. It would cause a lot of problems.
Yeah. I've heard about people that are born with some kind of defect behind their ears where scientists have done like studies on them, and they're actually redundant gills.
Yeah, I've heard of that too.
Yeah.
You said defect though. It's a mutation.
It is a mutation. Yeah. You're right.
So I'm just saying not to like. I said the same thing. I just was
no. You're right.
It is merely a genetic mutation, is all.
No, so you're correct. It's a throwback.
And a defect.
A recessive gene.
We would have called it a defect in the past, but that sounds too mean. It sounds too. You're
ableist.
Not defective. You're just a human being that has something different from other human beings.
It's ableist. You have a recessive gene that showed up.
Right. Exactly.
In you.
Exactly.
Like, duh.
Right.
Okay. So Assyria is there with her whole army. She is surrounded by the graves of all her slain, all who have fallen by the sword. So again, we're talking about Assyria. Remember how great they were and they died?
Well, I think that they were saying, I think the way it read was that they were going, like Egypt, the uncircumcised from Egypt were going down to the pit, right? Mm-hmm. And they were going down there, they were going to be with the other people that were in the pit, and the other people that are in the pit are the Assyrians. So I think that's what that's referencing there.
Their graves are in the depths of the pit, and her army lies around her grave. Mm-hmm. All who spread terror in the land of the living are slain, fallen by the sword. Elam is there, with all her hordes around her grave. All of them are slain, fallen by the sword. All who had spread terror in the land of the living went down uncircumcised to the earth below. I can't take it seriously.
No, like the fact that you have to throw in the uncircumcised bit is just ridiculous.
It's like, let's talk about some scary, dark shit with blood and knives and, and a grave, and you're going to get buried alive. And now about your dick.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, you just took me right out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, lost the thread there, man.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, but that has nothing to do, like, that part does not, it does not add to the story.
Not at all.
Like,
except for in a religious sense.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, it does matter religiously.
It does, right? But I just don't get it.
Well, I don't either, but I mean, it's not having accepted God, not believing in God. Why would we understand it? Well, I mean, we do logically understand what they are doing when, they say that the people from Jerusalem, or the Jewish people, are circumcised and other people are not, right? It's a indication that you have accepted your God and you believe in that God, and
it's the sacrifice you've made and the covenant that you signed.
Sure.
Blah, blah, blah.
It's all those things. Now, why they chose to focus on dicks as part of this is beyond me, but we do know what it means. It just still is absurd in the whole grand scheme of all the things that we're talking about.
Here's what I mean, though. Like, okay, the movie Willow, right? In the very beginning, like, Willow is trying to be a magician. He goes up to be tested every fucking year. And the grand old magician guy asks the question of all of the applicants, and they always fail. And the question that he asked this particular year was, which finger does your magic reside in? And I don't remember the fucking answer because it's irrelevant.
Right.
But that makes sense, right? Like, yes, we use our fingers. I can see magic being related to fingers, or God power, something being related to your fingers or your hands, right?
Sure.
I cannot understand how where I pee or fuck, I can't understand how that is not what I use practically in my everyday life out and about in the world.
Right.
So I don't understand it other than that it's your most vulnerable part of your body, I guess.
I think that's a large part of what this is. I mean, they obviously are very concerned about their penises in ancient times, right? That's how they make covenants, even amongst themselves. They wash each other's balls as part of a solidifying deals and shit. I mean, there's a lot of weird shit with regard to the genitalia in ancient times,
right?
And so I feel like they were preoccupied with the idea of this was a very important feature of what it is to be human. And so because it is a very important feature, it creates the babies, it releases the, your waste, it does all these things. And, so therefore it must be an important part of what it is to be human, right? So if it is an important part of being human, when God asked you to cut part of that thing off, that's a big fucking deal.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm just,
okay.
That's all.
No, you're bringing it home a little bit. It was the realization that is the most vulnerable part of your body.
Yeah.
That kind of did it for me.
Sure.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to justify, like, I still think it's absurd, right? Like, it's not.
I mean, your face is pretty fucking vulnerable, too. Like, you could cut off your nose.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Like, you could cut off your nose.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do, but that is what they chose. So that's where we are. I mean, we talk about dicks in the Bible now.
Your feet have like billions of bones in them or whatever. Okay, not billions, but you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Like, they're pretty fucking vulnerable. Like, I snapped one of my bones just walking across my neighbor's backyard.
Yeah. Right.
So that's pretty fucking vulnerable. Like, we could have it like chop off a toe.
Right.
So
do you really need a pinky toe?
No. Like, you need a lot of your toes for balance. Like, I think your middle toe and your big toe are the ones you specifically need for balance.
Sure.
I could have those wrong. Feel free to shout out at me what a dumbass I am.
Yeah.
But there are a couple that you actually need for balance.
Got it.
But the other ones, chop them off, give them to God, whatever.
There you go. Yeah.
So why okay.
Yeah, whatever.
Anyway.
Penises,
And if you are a person who has a vagina, you don't get to give up anything to God.
Right.
So it would be more gender neutral if we cut off our pinky toes instead.
Yeah. And don't forget, like we early on, it was David actually that collected foreskins from the dead that he killed to pay for his wife, which was some sort of a biblically arranged marriage type. It wasn't even biblically, but it was traditionally. I don't know why the fuck that happened, but he collected fucking foreskins off of the dead people. Like, so it's very the preoccupation with the foreskins is beyond me a little bit, but I understand the significance of why it's something that they might consider important, and it still is absurd to me though. So
yeah, it's absurd.
Yeah,
I'm gonna just leave it there.
Yeah.
It's also weird and gross. I'm not just going to leave it there. It's weird and gross because Republicans today are still preoccupied with genitalia.
They are.
But not just the penis. They are very occupied with what is happening to vaginas.
It's just that now if you want to solidify a deal with a Republican, you got to wash their truck balls instead of the...
That's hilarious. All right. So they bear their shame with those who go down to the pit. A bed is made for her among the slain, with all her hordes around her grave. All of them are uncircumcised, killed by the sword. Because their terror had spread in the land of the living, they bear their shame with those who go down to the pit. They are laid among the slain. The deads are dead with other deads.
Yep, in that pit.
And then they're all dead together being dead.
Yeah.
Got it. Meshech and Tubal are there, with all their hordes around their graves.
Okay.
And these are other...
Yeah, I think I remember them being mentioned at some point or whatever. So
all of them are uncircumcised, killed by the sword because they spread their terror in the land of the living.
Okay.
But they do not lie with the fallen warriors of old. They're in the bad graveyard, not the good one.
Oh, what's the bad grave?
The uncircumcised one.
Oh, okay.
They don't lie with the fallen warriors of old who went down to the realm of the dead with their weapons of war, their swords placed under their heads and their shields resting on their bones, though these warriors also had terrorized the land of the living. You too, Pharaoh, will be broken and lie among the uncircumcised with those killed by the sword.
So there's tiers of how shitty the pit is?
I think it has to do with, like, Catholics have graveyards that are hallowed ground.
Yeah.
And if you commit suicide or other sins, you are not allowed to be buried in their graveyard. So you still get to be buried.
Sure.
But not in a Catholic graveyard.
So, I mean, it could actually mean like just literally the burial rites that are being instrumented here by like the pit could actually, in this case, since it's not literally talking about Jerusalem and Sheol and all that, that was like literally the pit.
Yeah.
And we're in Egypt, the pit could literally be a fucking pit that they're just getting tossed into.
Yeah.
You know, and that would make sense in a awful scenario where war is happening on a large scale and lots of people are dying.
And it matters to them because they're in unmarked graves where their family members cannot come mourn them.
Right. Burial rites are, even to this day, a very important rite for many, many cultures.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that would make sense as to like mock them in that sense, right?
Right.
So.
Right. Like you are going to be unknown to history. You're going to go down just one of many.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Edom is there, her kings and all her princes. Despite their power, they are laid with those killed by the sword. They lie with the uncircumcised, with those who go down to the pit. All the princes of the north and all the Sidonians are there. They went down with the slain into grace, despite the terror caused by their power. They lie uncircumcised
in the pit,
with those killed by the sword and bear their shame with those who go down to the pit.
Okay.
So all of these
lots
bad
of dead people in the pit.
Died.
Yep.
And they're all in the pit.
And they all still have
in the proverbial pit, but a pit nonetheless.
Yeah, with fully intact dicks.
Yes.
So, okay.
Those bad bones. Pharaoh, he and all his army, will see them, and he will be consoled for all his hordes that were killed by the sword, declares the sovereign Lord. Why will he be consoled?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense, does it?
Although I had him spread terror in the land of the living, Pharaoh and all his hordes will be laid among the uncircumcised with those killed by the sword.
That doesn't
declares the sovereign Lord.
That doesn't sound consoling. What did he say back there? He said...
Pharaoh and all his army will see them, and he will be consoled for all his hordes that were killed by the sword.
I would like to look into that phrasing a little bit more in the Q&A because that doesn't make a lot of sense to me at all.
That makes no sense.
It sounds actually wrong.
It sounds like a bad translation.
Maybe, or they mean something else by...
Maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe the word consoled used to mean something different. I don't know. Yeah, that doesn't sound right.
No. Not
right there at the end, man.
Right.
Lost the plot.
Yeah. So that was a lot of dark imagery.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's the end of fucking around with Egypt.
I think I'm happy about. I don't know. I shouldn't. I don't want to presuppose what's going to actually be happening next.
Okay, I'm not going to lie. I actually enjoyed hating these pieces. Like sometimes I hate pieces, and I'm like, nope. There's just nothing but hate. Mm-hmm. But this whole fuck Egypt and all of Egypt and Egypt needs to get fucked, right?
Yeah, right.
All of that. I enjoyed hating that section.
Yeah, I get that. And I actually kind of enjoyed the fact that this whole time that we've been talking about Egypt, that it was a reminder that God is not always right. Because the prophecy is very tenuous as far as it being fulfilled. So it's not holding up the truth, or it's not holding up what was said in the Bible as to what actually transpired.
Yeah.
So that
it didn't hold water with actual history.
Not that we need to prove through the Bible that the Bible is wrong, but it doesn't hurt when you're talking to somebody that's Christian to say, look, man, your Bible, like literally your Bible is wrong.
Yeah.
I can point to you 4 chapters in your Bible, in a book that you actually revere, Ezekiel, because Ezekiel is very prominent in the New Testament. Mm-hmm. I can point to 4 chapters in that book that are absolutely fucking wrong.
Yeah.
And they would be like, no, that's not in there.
Either like, that or you're reading it wrong. You're reading it out of context. You don't know.
No, and you can explain it to them any number of ways, and they're still going to say you're reading it wrong. But this is why I know I understand at that point they haven't actually read the Bible for themselves. They haven't sat down to try to understand it with any bit of intellect for them, like any bit of understanding or self-teaching. It's all been pumped down their throats from their pastor or whoever, the internet at this point. Like a lot of the people I talk to now are very much secluded in their own little bubbles with these online pastors that they never get to interact with. And the only thing that these pastors are sharing are sound bites about hell and transphobia and just hate messages, right? But it's intermingled with messages from the Bible. And they teach the Bible, but they teach the Bible in their own very specific way. Mm-hmm. And these people don't actually know what they're learning because they don't bother to read it for themselves. They don't bother to try to understand it for themselves.
Right.
And that's what bothers me about the ignorance that is inherent in a lot of the right-wing Christianity.
Sure.
So that being said, this was Ezekiel Chapter 32.
Sure as fuck was.
Which means that we will be back tomorrow with
Ezekiel Chapter 33.
All right. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Hey, wife, I guess that's the end?
But husband, that's just sad.
It doesn't have to be. We are on lots of social media platforms like Twitter. Our handle there is sacrilegious_D.
For D's nuts.
Oh my God. Stop doing that. Anyway, we're also on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. There's a link to all of our social media sites at our website.
Ooh, we have a website?
Yeah, it's sacrilegiousdiscourse.com, where you can also find a link to our merch shop.
We have a merch shop?
Yep. We have podcast-themed clothing, mugs, notebooks, and more, as well as an atheist and science-themed products.
Wow, our fans should really go check that out right now.
Definitely. They can get in touch with us by sending an email to sacrilegiousdiscourse@gmail.com. But before they do that, we could really use some help.
Oh yeah? With what?
Well, it's not free running the podcast, and we need some financial support in order to get better equipment, which will free up time so we can concentrate on our podcast and our fans.
Okay, so what should they do?
Head over to patreon.com/sacrilegiousdiscourse and sign up as a contributor on our podcast. Supporters there receive additional bi-weekly episodes that we record just for our Patreon members for as little as $2 a month.
Also, we'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe on whatever platform you're using.
And Apple Podcast reviews help us out tremendously.
Like and subscribe. Leave an Apple review. Join us on Twitter. Support us on Patreon. That's a lot of instructions. Don't forget to say thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, bye.